Hi everybody, Ricky here from Behind the Bars TV. Hope everyone's fit and well. In this episode, we've got Paul Simmons, and Paul has come all the way up from Bristol to share his story. Paul has served about 22 years? 22 years in the prison system, and he's got one hell of a story, and he's going to share it with us today. Well, Paul, if you could just introduce yourself, please. Just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into it.
Yep. So my name is Paul Simmons. I go by the name Paul Addict Mental these days for social media. Born in Bristol back in the 70s. Had a terrible upbringing, full of abuse, full of homelessness, running away. You know, it was complete isolated. When I was 16, first went to jail for robbery. I did a year. I got out at 17. At 18, I went back in, did a 3.5 stretch, got out from that, did a 5.5 stretch, got out from that, did a 10.5 stretch. Thought I was done with it, and then I got a 9.5 year EPP, and I come off that license in September 2021, and I did, like I said, a total of 22 whole years. And I have to say that to people because, you know, when people say, oh, you've done 22 years, so you only served like 10 years. I'm like, no.
Like you've actually I was an idiot. 22 years.
22 years,
Which,
man.
How old are you now?
I'm 44.
So half of your life you've spent in prison.
Yeah.
But you're out here now doing good things, which we'll get into. So hats off to you for that, mate.
Thank you.
So is your license and everything done now?
Yeah, I'm completely off license.
So you're free, finally.
Finally free. Do you know what? When I was on license and I was getting the recalls, I was bad for getting recalls for bad behaviour, not committing offences, bad behaviour. And I realised the moment I came off license, it was like this big weight had gone, it had lifted. And I've not committed an offence. I've not thought about committing an offence. You know, nothing in my life has changed apart from the fact I'm not owned by the system anymore.
And I can't wait until I have my day finally.
You will, and you will. I know you will.
Like you've mentioned, being on the license, I mean, did you end up going back in and finishing your...
Yeah, I did 4 years on recall.
On recall?
On recall alone, no charges.
Yeah, no charges.
No charges.
And I think that's what happens with about, I dare say, over 90% of people that go back in on a recall have never committed another criminal offence. They've just maybe broke the conditions, haven't turned up for probation or had a disagreement with a probation officer. Yeah. Something as simple as that, isn't it?
Let me tell you about my last recall, because it's one of the funniest things I've ever been recalled for in my life. I got recalled on my last bit of sentence. I had 3 months left of this 9.5 year license. And I got recalled for slanderizing probation over my social media. So by saying, I wrote on my social media platform, I think probation want me back in prison. I don't think they actually want to work with me. 2 days later, I was back in prison. So for that. So really, it proved itself. What I was saying was true. Because they don't sometimes, and you know this, you're a big guy like I'm a big guy. They don't know how to deal with us. Yeah. You know, as you can see, I talk with my hands, and in jail or anywhere like that, that's you being aggressive. You have to, you know, put your hands down by your side. You have to act a certain way. So probation officers, a lot of them, they're quite happy to send you back at the big house and leave you up there.
But it's good, like you say, you're out, you're not on license, you're actually free. You're walking around a free man. You've got no risk of recall or anything, and you're doing things to help other people.
Yeah,
so hats off to you, mate.
Thank you, dude. What I did, I came out like for the last time in 2021. I'd already started a small social media following before then, because I was trying to just help other addicts, because I spent 27 years in heroin and crack cocaine addiction. And as you can imagine, my life was completely nuts. I was committing stupid robberies for pennies. I want a big armed robber, and I have to say this to people because it's on my record. I've been done for armed robbery. People are thinking shotguns, running into post office with balaclavas. I was a guy who had a bored out firearm, so I don't know if it worked. I never fired it, never fired it, anything like that. But I had this heavy bit of equipment, and I was going around committing offences to fund my drug habit.
So how long have you been clean now then?
I have been clean 3 years, 9 months, and 2 weeks exactly today. Yeah. So like, you know, we're coming on to 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, and
which is a long time, isn't it?
It's a long time for many addicts. They don't think they're ever going to get clean. They don't think past my next fix, my next hit. And then when it dawns on you, you got to get clean. You think, right, I'll just do a week.
Yeah.
I'll get past a week and see. And I wear this little thing around my neck. I got to be careful because of the mic. But it says ODAP, 1 day at a time.
Right.
Because lots of people would have heard some
Yeah.
similar adage to that. But that's what it is. I had to take it 1 day at a time. And by doing that, I'm now coming up to 4 years.
Yeah.
Took my first flight today to come and see you.
Nice one.
It's a bit mad. But do you know what I mean? It's a big difference from where I used to be, the life I used to lead.
So do you feel like since you've come out of that, do you feel like the world's a different place? Are you seeing things differently?
Man, it's a completely different place. When I was in prison, I had prison head on, right? No one could tell me nothing. The world owed me a favor. All of you lot are bad. I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way I was living. And I had to turn myself around. And it was my partner who said, listen, you're about to lose everything here. You're about to lose me. You're about to lose the kids. You're about to lose absolutely everything if you don't sort your life out, if you don't turn yourself around. And it was the biggest wake-up call that I had. Not the 10-year sentence, 10.5 years, not the EPP, none of that, because I was used to that system. You know, you just go in, you come out, you spend a couple of months outside, and fact of life is you were ending up back in prison. And I didn't want that happening anymore. And I have to big my missus up. She doesn't like getting bigged up, mate. You know, the women, they don't. But if it wasn't for her, I'm not saying I wouldn't still be clean, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, without a doubt.
Oh, there's always a good woman behind the story. I've got one the same, like you see her.
They
make
need
a massive
them.
difference to your life, don't they?
She waited 4 years. When I got recall, I met her when I come out, and I had this big license. She waited 4 years for me. So anyone who waits,
what's your missus called?
Zasha with a Z.
Zasha, shout out to you. Well done for keeping them on the straight and narrow.
Thank you, mate. That's going to make her so embarrassed, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. But what we'll do is we'll go back to the start just to let everyone know the story. So where were you born and where did you grow up?
So I was born in Lockleys in Bristol. It's one of them areas, council estate, a lot of car thefts going on. It was the ram raiding era. You know, I had lots of dodgy influences around me. I was like nicking cars by the time I was like 12, 13 years old. I knew how to screwdriver an Astra. Do you know what I mean? Like the best of us back then. And I was just getting into bits of trouble, like sampling, bit of cannabis here, bit of speed there. And I was getting in more and more trouble. My home life was really bad. Like I said, I used to get beat up by my dad.
Did you?
Like, you know, he liked to fist my old man. So he used to beat the crap out of me. So I wasn't going home, and I was running away and getting involved in trouble and drama. And when I was 16, I ended up in Rycroft Street Probation Hostel, or a Bell Hostel, or approved premises as they're called now. And when I was in there, I met a guy. I won't name him for obvious reasons. I met this guy, and he was like, "Mate, do you want to come and have a go on this? Have a go on these drugs?" First time I'd ever touched heroin and crack cocaine. He put it in the needle, put it in my arm. You know, did all the crazy stuff. But what it did, I found that straight away I wanted more and more and more of it. And going out begging on the streets, that didn't really fit what I was doing. Going out burgling houses, that didn't fit what I was doing. I wanted instant, quick cash. And that's where the street robberies sort of came in. So at 16, when I was supposed to be being looked after by the government in this nice hostel, I ended up getting charged with my very first street robbery.
Right.
So me and this guy were in a car. We're in this Nick's car. and we're just scooting around high off our fucking eyes the size of saucepans. See a guy parked up in his car. Now I'm not going to pull punches here because there's no point. I don't do that. I'm just telling my story. This guy was in his car, grabbed him like that. He's tried to do something. I smacked him around the head with a hammer, like, side of a hammer around. Knocked the guy out, took all of his stuff, threw his car keys off, drove off, had a cut on my hand from somehow during the melee. Drove off, dumped the car. About 2 weeks later, police come knocking on my door, DNA.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you about a car theft. From that car theft, it linked to the robbery. Ended up going to court. I'm still a YO. I'm still a young offender. I get 2 years. Never thought I'd ever see the inside of a jail cell. 2 years sentence. Real scary time. Portland Bill back in 94, 95 this was. And the guys in there, the screws, they were mean, all ex-army boys. They just didn't care.
Oh.
And you had to call them sir, you had to make bed packs, you had to march. If you were a landing cleaner, you got a scrubbing brush and a bit of carbolic soap, purple soap. You didn't get a mop and bucket. Do you know what I mean? It was real brutal.
And were you still 16 at this point?
I was still 16. I turned 17 when I was in that jail, but I was learning. And I was quite hard. I didn't know I was hard. I realised, people coming to me in the showers. I'm a black guy in a Welsh jail. That's what it was. So there was a lot of racism going on. I learned that I could have a little fight. I could handle myself in there. And I was finding jail's not that bad. I'm not getting beat up at home anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sleeping on the streets anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I'm getting a little bit of respect. And I ran through that first year, that 2 year sentence. I did a year straight half, ran through it, no dramas.
Yeah.
But what I got out of it was I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Now that was a really bad thing to have at 17 years old.
Knowing that you could handle that as well.
Yeah, knowing I've just done 2 years jail, man. I've just done it. Piece of cake. So if I can do that, I can do more and more.
So going back, like when you were mentioning there, when you were 16, so I know a lot of the young ones when they're hanging around, like myself, getting into drink and drugs from the age of 11. I was myself, 12-year-old. But you mentioned like heroin and crack cocaine. That's heavy stuff for a 16-year-old, isn't it?
Real heavy stuff, yeah.
When we was 15, 16, we started on the E's, not like party drugs.
Party drugs, yeah.
But unfortunately for you, that older person gave you that stuff and got you into that from that young age.
Yeah. And
so that's obviously where things spiraled as well.
It was a real spiral. Like I said, even like I said, you do a year, so you're not coming out of jail addicted to anything.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got out, I wanted it. It was
you wanting them same drugs?
Yeah, I wanted them same drugs. I wanted them straight away. And I remember coming out of Portland, spending my discharge grant on drugs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That was the money that was supposed to see me through. I had nowhere to live or nothing like that. The system was very different back then. Now they don't really let you out if you're a violent offender, like with no fix about. Back then they were like, right, just report to your probation once a week. We don't care what you do the rest of the time. So yeah, I had a real bad spiral. I was only out, I think, about 4 months. I was out 4 months and got myself involved in a prostitute scam. It was a scam. I was living in a bed and breakfast hostel sort of place with me and a few other guys and a lot of working girls, prostitutes. And I had this brilliant idea of taking the number plates down of the punters and basically then going, mate, if you don't give me your fucking money, I'm going to take you to the police station. I'm going to report you, saying real horrible stuff. You know what I mean? You can imagine the stuff I was saying to make these guys feel like they're going to go to prison for the rest of their life. We did that, and I was getting away with robbery after robbery and getting more brazen and more brazen.
So were these fellas just handing you money?
They
over
were
there?
handing over their money left, right, and centre. And I mean it, left, right, and centre. Because a lot of guys are thinking, I don't want my wife to know what I'm doing. I don't want my work to know what I'm doing, da, da, da. So I was living well, but my drug habit was skyrocketing. I mean, it was, people didn't want to use with me because they knew I was a liability. I was a risk. Do you know what I mean? If you put crack in my lungs, there was never, no one ever knew what I was going to do. Like, I used to walk around big fucking kitchen knives there in a crack house, sit there smoking my crack with that big knife there. You know the vibe I'm giving off. It's a real dangerous vibe. So I've been doing it for a while, and more people starting to dislike me. I go do this one robbery. As I've come out from the robbery, a couple of guys see me run off. They phone feds on me. They phone the police on me. Police come to my house. The guy ID'd me pretty much straight away. End up going to court. Second robbery now. You know, you're talking serious. It could get real bad here. I'm lucky. I'm still young. I'm still 17. I got 3.5 years. I ended up serving 21 months out of that 3.5 years. And it was all pretty, not very interesting, apart from when I was in HMP Guysmarsh, which is in Shaftesbury. You know what it's like. If you're in a certain jail, you stick with the boys from your area, right? You got to be your area, and that's that. So all the guys in my area, they were having issues with this fucking Jamaican fella, right? And it's been going on for days. Right? Everyone's going, oh, we're going to do him, we're going to do him, we're going to do him. And they kept on going on. And we're in the dinner queue one day. I don't know what come over me, really, to be honest with you. And I'm hearing them going, and I'm like, have you not done that prick yet? They've gone, no. I've gone straight up to my cell, stamped on a razor blade, toothpaste, put a fucking toothbrush, melted it to the razor blade. Now I got a shank with a one razor blade. I've walked straight down to the dining room. We're in the dinner queue. Like, everyone's queuing up. I've just grabbed the side of this guy's face, like, I've gone fucking whack like that. You know, opened up like big slice straight down his face, like popped it right open. I just fucked off back to my cell. Right? I'm like, I ain't getting involved in that. I've done what I'm doing. I'm gone. I think there's 40 man on the wing. No one's going to say nothing. Do you know what I mean? This is Bristol Boys jail. Banged up, shitting myself, obviously, like, high tension. I'm thinking they're going to just come through the door in a minute. He's going to grasp me up. Next minute, my flap's gone like that. I just see this black guy with wadding on the side of his face and go, him. Pointed me out straight away. They've gone, Simmons, you're down to the governor in the morning. I'm like, sweet, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up going down the block for that. And that's the first time I ever got a kicking from screws. Like a good, proper kick. Hiding. Yeah, proper hiding from the screws. I've gone down there, they're like, oh, who the fuck do you think you are coming? I'm only a kid, you know. Do you know what I mean? Fucking coming in our jail, giving it all that. I'm like, mate, I don't actually give a fuck, I don't care who you are. I'll do the same to you in a minute, you pricks. Said that, and they all just come in the cell. I don't know how many screws there were, but you know, you've been in jail yourself. You know, when they get a bit busy, they get busy. I was a 17-year-old kid coming on 18. And I got a good hiding. I was achy for about 2.5 weeks.
Did they keep you down there for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, they kept me down there. Give me 14-day CC, cellular confinement, to let the bruising go down, obviously. And then back on the wing. But through my 3.5 year sentence, that was probably the only real serious thing. Right.
So what was it like when they were actually on top of you in the cell?
Oh man, I thought I was going to die, because you don't think. Listen, all you see is boots, legs, black trousers,
especially
white shirt.
Still a kid and grown men.
I'm a kid, and these are grown ass men. Like, I've always been big. Yeah. So I'm assuming they just thought I was like, you know, they didn't realise they were beating a child up, but that's what it was, you know. And I honestly, I remember trying to crawl out of the cell, and in the end, I just pulled myself up. I thought, well, you've learnt your lesson. Don't get mouthy to them in a hurry again.
Did you learn your lesson?
No, obviously not. No. It got worse.
But going back to like when you mentioned about your home life and stuff with your dad and stuff. What about when you were in the prisons? Not did you have your family? Did you still have your family? What about?
No, I got to be honest, and this is for the young uns out there. I lost all of my family whilst I was in prison. None of them wrote to me. None of them came to visit me. You know, I mean, I'd be lucky if they picked up the phone ever so often. Very cold phone call. And this is the thing, if people want to get into crime, if they want to get into drugs, if they want to be the big road man, that's the thing now, isn't it? Road man. If they want to do that, they have to understand that you could risk losing everything. People get fed up of writing to you in jail, coming to visit you in jail. It's the same thing coming to court to see you. It's like they want more from life than that. And I understand that. So even though it was hard, I can say I've had less than that many visits in 22 years. Yeah. Wow. So, like, you know, I think I've come out of it quite well, really. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it made you who you are today, really, obviously.
Yeah, it has.
What doesn't break you makes you stronger. Doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But obviously, when you said you were young and your dad used to beat you up and stuff, obviously, mustn't have been was there much love from you?
No love. Like before he died last year, my dad. Yeah, before he died, he tried making amends and stuff. We were talking. Do you know what I mean? You can't hold grudges forever. He was a young guy. You know, he's a lot younger than I am now when he took two black kids on it in the 70s. I ain't making no excuses for the man. I'm not. But life wasn't easy. It was fucking hard. And I didn't make it easy. Once, the thing is, what I was like, I've always been like this. If you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. And it doesn't matter how you hurt me, I'll hurt you back any which way. I'll hurt your pocket. I'll hurt anything. That was always my mentality. So he used to whack me. I used to nick money off of him. Then he used to whack me again. And I used to nick money off him. Do you know, it was that constant cycle. And then in the end, I ended up in a residential school, like full of 60 kids who were just insane. Just like.
So what's a residential? Is that where you live in?
So it's like you're living there. It was a
like a boarding school.
It was a boarding school for for naughty boys. You know, and some of the behaviour there was fucked up. Some of the staff were fucking monsters. You know, there was a lot of paedophilia that went on in that fucking place. But what it did again, because it taught me about prison really early, before I'd ever went to jail. I knew about not getting visits, my parents not coming to see me. I knew about having to live in a structured place. So I think when it actually came to my first sentence, I'm like, well, this isn't much different to what I've been doing already.
So do you think that's what made you like violent as well?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people sometimes they don't understand why certain people act in violent ways. But if you're brought up
around violence, man,
if that's what is that what you see from a young age, what's going to happen when you get older? If someone pisses you off, someone does something to you, you're going to react the way you've been saying things. It's like
I am not what I would call a physically violent man anymore, right? I don't get into fights, anything like that. But what I learned early doors, like in my teens, don't let anyone take the piss out of you. I was that guy. I was like, you can't keep letting it happen to you, because that's what was my head was like. You know, I mean, all your life you've just been letting people walk all over you. The first guy I smacked, like, I gave him a blood clot in his brain. I remember. Do you know what I mean? I ended up didn't go jail for it, but I ended up in court on a GBH charge, and from that, my brain sort of went, oh, you're here. You're not actually there. But it was the wrong up here. It was the wrong. It was that peacock kind of. I'm the fucking man. Do you know what I mean? And
it's like you see when you're in that mindset from a young age. I was in the same mindset myself. Like I've mentioned it before when I've done podcasts. I've done the Franklin documentary. I've mentioned it on there. You go to prison, and it's like you're wanting to go to prison. You're wanting to be with the bad lads. You want, like you say, you think being up there that was what you thought was the right
Was
to be
the right?
up there,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not,
yeah. Then it's
not
not.
until you like sort your head out and get the right mindset. You think, fucking hell, why did I used to think like that? But it's because sometimes the people that you brought up around,
Yeah.
like if you're brought up around negative influences, they've been to prison, they're glorifying it to you.
That's
It's
and
only
it
going to
is.
end one way,
You learn, and that
like
is the
learned behaviour, and
cycle.
that's
Right, I talk about this a lot in like addiction terms, but this is the prison cycle is exactly the same. You just learn these behaviours. The prison officers know your name. You get pally with them. The guys on reception know who you are. Oh, back again, Simo. Fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? But it's like status.
Yeah.
It's a status that I didn't have when I was outside. I didn't have that status outside. I was no one. I was, the guy that everyone used to walk past in the street. So to go to jail and go, right, everyone's going, don't fuck with him, mind.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with him because he ain't quite right. Yeah. He'll fucking do something. And to me, that was me going, yeah. You know what I mean? I'm a fucking boy now. And don't get it twisted. I wasn't the man in jail. I was very low fry in the order of things. I was doing big sentences, but I was very low fry. I've always said that, and I'm not going to change my stance on that. That's where I was. However,
people knew not to mess with you.
Yeah, they knew, and the other guys knew if they needed a little bit of someone sorting out, someone's taking a piss with debts, or there's a bit of outside road beef. Come see me. I'll take care of it for you. Do you know what I mean? For a price.
Yeah, we come across loads of lads like that, don't you?
Yeah.
Like they've got no family outside.
Nothing.
They don't get things sent in. And these are the ones that are always doing the hits.
Yeah, always.
In.
And people wonder why. I get this all the time. Why is it? Why did you do that? I said, because you need to survive.
Yeah.
You have to survive in there. And unfortunately, lots of people like myself choose the wrong survival techniques in that. And it's a jungle, isn't it?
The most dangerous lads in there were the ones like you've just mentioned, like yourself, the ones that'll do anything.
Just do anything.
To get a bit of money.
Yeah, bit of money, bit of spice paper, bit of whatever.
And them are the ones that come creeping up on you without you knowing. And you're
split you from your neck to your bum, mate, before you even know what's going on.
There was one lad I was in home house with. He had about 2 or 3 weeks left on his sentence. I think he was doing a few years, coming to the end of his sentence, but he was on the spice. He got offered a £100 ball of spice to slice someone. He went and fucking smoked the spice, sliced the lad on camera.
Wow.
And then got a fucking 8-year EPP.
Jesus.
And he had 2 weeks left on his sentence. He used to cry himself to sleep afterwards when he realised what he'd done.
Yeah, it's like, that's addiction though, isn't it? Let's have it right. There's a lot of guys in the jails, the quiet ones, the drug users. They are the dangerous ones because they are desperate, and there are people in jail who will take full advantage of that desperateness. Come on. Like I said, there is a pecking order. And I might have been low fry, but guess what? There's someone below me, and there's someone below that person. And that's unfortunately the way it goes. And that's why bullying is so rife. Black Eye Friday, Canteen Day. In the jails I went to, it was either canteen on a Wednesday or a Friday, Black Eye Friday or a Wacky Wednesday. They used to call it because of the debt collecting or the lack of.
Or they were putting themselves on protection.
Or protection.
Or the day before.
Oh, man, that thing. That's a new thing. Where people get into so much debt. And, say you've got 10 spice dealers on the wing and you've gone and bought off each of them spice dealers a couple of times in the week to get you through. So now you owe £100 and you've got £2.50 on your canteen sheet, right? It's only one way it's going to go. These guys, you hear the click clack over early in the morning, late at night.
When everyone else is locked up.
One off.
It is like. So when you'd done your 3.5 years and you come out, what was happening then?
I was still at it. I was still the same. I was out doing little street robberies. I robbed the pub. For cigarettes and alcohol and stuff. I got hold of my first imitation firearm. It wasn't a real gun. It was an imitation firearm. Got hold of my first one after watching New Jack City. Back in the day, I thought I was, I did, honestly, because unfortunately that's the mentality of where I was. It was just like, I thought I was a gangster. I got a thing that looked like a gun, you know what I mean? You could whack someone around the head with it and they'd think it was a fucking gun. And I was out doing these stupid robberies, and they really increased. I mean, my robberies went from street robberies at cash points to then putting people at gunpoints, putting them in taxis. Now, this is the thing. This is what happened. I went to rob a guy at a cash point. He couldn't get the money out because he's so scared. You know, this is a true thing. This happens. You know, people get so scared they can't even remember their own name. I've put this guy in a taxi, taken him back to his house. In his house was his auntie, his uncle, and his cousin. They're all over legal age, just so everyone knows. There's no children in the house, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? I was fucking off my head. So I've taken him to the house, tied 3 people up in the house, ransacked the place for cash cards, got all their PIN numbers and all that, got a few grand out of that deal, dumped the guy in Bristol city centre, and I've gone on my mission. For about a week, I'm good, smoking, I don't need to go out doing anything, I'm living large, run out of money. Go try do the exact same thing at the exact same cash point. Old bill everywhere. There's all bill everywhere. I went to do it. It was a big sting. I got twisted up, got put on my ass, taken to the police station. Now, as I'm in the police station being booked in for this sting operation, another copper's looked across and they've gone, "We want to speak to him about something." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you want to?" He said, "Same MO, same cash point." Do you know what I mean? That's all they said to me at that time. I've gone back to the cell, the police cell, and I'm almost crying now because I'm thinking, I am royally fucked. I'm on for getting a life sentence. There's, I've already been done for 2 robberies now already. Now I get done for 3 attempt robberies, 1 robbery. No, 3 attempt robberies, 2 robberies, possession of firearms, 3 counts of false imprisonment, and 1 count of kidnap.
Some hefty charges, I think.
Mate, at this time, I'm 21. Do you know what I mean? 21 coming on 22. Sat in Bristol Crown Court with the meanest judge. Every area's got one. Every area's got that judge, right? That you go, oh, you don't want to go up in front of him. We had one, he was called Darwell Smith. Mean judge. I'm thinking I'm getting a life sentence. Clearly, I'm going to get a life sentence. He gives me he actually gives me 10 years, 6 months, 27 days. That was the sentence here. I know. You're thinking, where's the 27 days come from? I don't know either. But that's the sentence he gave me. But because of the amount of offences I got, the judge was going, count 1, 10 years. Count 2, 10 years. Count 3, 10 years. I had, all in all, it was like over 100 years. And I'm sat there in the dock, stood there in the dock, trying not to fall down. And then you're just waiting for that one word, concurrent. That's all I wanted to hear. Yeah, they said all to be run concurrent. You just give me the top one, and I got the 6 months, 27 days outstandings. That's why it turned up with 10 years, 6 months, 27 days. But
so what did you feel when you got that then?
Devastated. I felt it was really weird. I felt glad that I didn't get a life sentence, but I was devastated because straight away you're trying to figure out when you're getting out.
Yeah.
When am I getting out? I got arrested 2003, put on remand 2004. I ended up getting convicted. So I got my paperwork come through, I remember, and it said 2003 to the 10th 2010. So the 10th month 2010 from the 3rd month 2003. And my brain almost fell off. It literally did. It almost fell off. I didn't know what to do. I remember getting back from court, walking into the prison, back into the jail. Everyone's banging their doors. I've been all over the news. This one-man crime wave just got a double figure sentence for doing just crazy stuff. Everyone's banging their door. Go on, and I'm devoted. trying to give it the peacock.
Oh,
Obviously, I'm a big man now, innit? I'm doing double figures. I'm doing big birds. But really, all I wanted to do was cry, thinking I ain't going to get no visits for the next fucking... I was supposed to do like 8 years, 7 months, and I lost over a year drug tests.
right.
You know. So I ended up doing just under 9 years. But just under 9 years, 8 years, 10 months. But it was the worst feeling I'd ever felt. And that's like, even when we go later on, it's just like, I just couldn't get it into my head that I was a kid in my 20s and I'm not getting out until I'm in my 30s.
Right.
I just couldn't. And my life, it was bad.
It's not knowing how you've landed yourself there.
Screws, I was having fights with screws. You know what I mean? I would threaten anyone who would come near my cell, start things. I was just angry, and I'm like, mate, I don't actually care right now. What are you gonna do to me? That was my mentality. I not got lifed off. Do you know what I mean? It was a fucking few years up the jail, but my brain at that point was like, I'm never getting out. This is too long. I'm never going to get to the end of this sentence. You know, obviously.
Where did you get sent to from there?
So I went from Bristol to HMP Stocken. No, sorry, that's wrong. I went from Bristol to HMP Loudon Grange in Nottingham.
Cat B.
Yeah, Cat B. I was in there with the guy who was in the Brinks Max robberies.
Kenny Noyes.
Kenny Noyes, Kenneth Noyes. He was in there. Not the same wing, you know, but he was there at the same time. And that was the first proper big man jail I'd been to. Like, you know, we can talk about local jails until you're blue in the face, but when you go to a long-termers lockdown jail, you realise you've got to change your ways.
They're totally different as well. They're nothing like you say. They're not like the Cat C's, the local prisons.
No, you need to keep your music down to a certain level. Do you know what I mean?
Got to show respect.
You have to show respect.
Seriously hurt, won't you?
Yeah, you just get seriously hurt. Man will walk into your cell in the morning. If there's cooking facilities, he's going to pour hot oil over you or hot water, or just fuck you up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it is. I've always said you have to respect long-termers, and I don't. You know, a lot of people go, well, say what? You know, they got themselves the bird. I'm doing my time. But it's just, you know, when you got guys and they don't know release dates, anything, the
majority of people just want to get on with it.
Just want to get on with their time.
See when I was in front and like surrounded by lifers, and the majority just want to get on with the time. But when it goes off, it goes off.
Yeah, and you have to be careful. You know, these people have ended people's lives. You know what I mean? So I was always of the thinking of, I don't want to be added to that list. I don't want to be a bit of concurrent, as what I used to say. You know, a bit of concurrent. You're not getting any added time or anything for it. So I used to just respect, keep your music down, especially in Loudon. And they really looked after me. A lot of the old timers, because I was younger, I got mental health issues and stuff. They were really looking after me. They managed to get me a PlayStation sent in through my mental health, and that was other prisoners who went, right, mate, no, don't worry, we'll do the app for you. Do you know what I mean? And later on in my life, I was the guy doing apps for everyone else towards the end of my sentences. But
you always find that it seems to be other people.
Yeah,
it's not where you're expected to come from, is it?
Yeah, it's not. It's not. You think the prison officers would be up there, but they're really not. It is really the other prisoners. They're the ones who know all the rules. They know all the workarounds. They know what you're entitled to, what you're not entitled to. And I've always been of the respect the man who's doing a long time, because you just don't know. It could be you next week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We never knew what was going to happen. So
were you using drugs in prison?
Heroin constantly through up until 2012, 13, when it changed to the spice, legal highs were coming in. But a
lot of was like you say in long term, it was heroin. Subbies on that.
Yeah, subbies. Everyone liked a subby. Everyone liked heroin in the jails at the time. I wouldn't say it kept the jails calm or anything, because there was still chaos going on, but everyone was too fucking high to really worry about it. Like the prison drug trade now is completely changed. It's completely changed. It's all about that chemical, that spice. It's ruining. Honestly, it's devastating prisons, man.
Yeah. So were you working in Loudon? Because I know Loudon would have been a private jail. The wages were a
Yeah,
lot
I
bigger,
was
weren't they?
working in the canteen shop in Leyden
Right,
Grange.
so-
That was a cushy little job. 50 quid a week, you know, which is a lot
A
better
lot,
than
it was one of
yeah, a
50
lot better
quid's
than the 7.50, 12 pounds that you get.
£5 and that. Sorry.
Yeah, in the normal rand jails. So yeah, Leyden was a good jail for me to go to, really.
So what were you doing, packing the canteen for
Pack in the
everyone?
canteen, yeah. So you get a little basket. You go around a little basket and just collect everyone's shopping for the week. You seal it up, and you know.
Did you manage to sneak the odd chocolate
Oh
bar?
man, I was demoned at it. I was always demon. Run off to the toilets, a bit of chocolate here, chocolate there. Yeah, I was demoned for that. Sorry, DHL.
But I knew a few lads that's done canteen that before, but some of them, one lad, he'd done the same as what you said. We got caught with a rapper afterwards and he lost his job.
Yeah, lose your job instantly.
Straight away,
yeah, lose your job, man. I saw a guy once. We were coming out, and a prison officer's rubbed him down. He's gone, "What's that?" And he's lifted it up, and he just had chocolate bars all the way around him. You know, but it's a graft in jail. That's a graft. You know, everyone's got they just any way to make a living in there, man.
The lads in their kitchens in Franklin used to come back with their tuna steaks from the That was for the staff.
Yeah,
they used to bring the tuna steaks back. Big blocks of cheese. But bearing in mind, we used to all eating on the wing when they had it wrapped up and they had it down the fucking pants.
It's all sweaty.
Used to come back, the cheese was all soft.
Rubbery cheese. You're right, mate. But that's like there's lots of things. You know, I worked in the kitchens in Portland, like way back early doors when the prisons were making everything.
Yeah.
They made the bread. Everything was made from scratch. And we were always grafting. There was always someone would come in, Simo, can you get me this? Simo, can you get me that? I'm like, mate, not a problem. But, you know what I mean? Because I know it's keeping me in canteen, keeping me in tobacco back then when you could smoke.
Yeah.
The good old bad old days, as I like to call them.
So where did you go from Loudon?
From Leyden Grange, I ended up going to Parkhurst, which is, as you can see, I told you they shipped me.
Is that the Isle of Wight?
Isle of Wight. So they've gone there, back down there. So I ended up in Parkhurst for about a year. I wasn't there very long, and then I got my Cat C. I got my Cat C in Bristol. I went for accumulated visits to Bristol and refused to leave. Just refused to leave. Put 2 tin of tuna in a sock each in my unwrapped them, and I sat on my bed. So I knew they were coming. 28 days coming to transfer me. So I'm not having it, mate. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to the Isle of Wight. I wasn't having it. So I went to on accumulated visits. Bristol governor comes straight up to me. Listen, all of this. Stop being stupid. He said, we'll let you stay. We're going to give you your Cat C because you've been in long enough. I'm like, sweet. He goes, you'll go to any Cat C we'll send you to, don't it? I'm like, yeah, of course. I knew it'd be HMP Dartmoor. The worst Cat C in the southwest is HMP Dartmoor. I don't know what it is up here, but you'd never want to go to Dartmoor. It's right on the moors. It's in the middle of nowhere. Foggy. Do you know what I mean? Raining all the time. Absolutely.
Old Victorian prison.
Old Victorian jail.
Cool.
It's the jail that has on the gate, all ye who pass here abandon all hope. That is where the jail where that sign is actually. It's right above the gate. You know, imagine that. You're coming into the jail, you're like, oh, great. All right.
Welcome to hell.
Yeah, welcome to hell. Literally that.
So how long were you in there then?
I was in Dartmoor for 4 years. I did 4 years there and got my category D, got a bit of open jail, went to HMP Ley Hill in Gloucestershire. It's not a nice jail for an open jail. I've got to be honest, a lot of sex offenders, a lot of bad customers in there. So I stayed there for about a month and walked out.
I never got to a Cat D, but I've heard like a lot of people that have mentioned who've been to Cat Ds, they're actually worse than being Cs or
Listen,
Only for the simple fact that you're walking on eggshells because the slightest thing.
Then they ship you back. What their favourite saying to me was, you can always go back to your old postcode. Right? That's what they always like to say. And so it's always that threat.
Yeah.
So in the end, a lot of guys go, "Well, you're threatening me. I'm just going to go then. Because if you're shipping me back, I might as well go get a bit of freedom before I go." So that's what I do. I just walked out. Just walked out of Lay Hill Jail, and the fence is about that big.
Is this?
Yeah, it's a little trill fence that you get in a garden. It's just a borderline because it's Cat C prison. You can't have bars, you can't have none of that stuff. It's weird. They call them rooms, not cells.
Right, sorry.
Go back to your room. I always find, for someone who's done a lot of jail, I always find that really difficult to get my head around. I'm like, it's a jail. It's a jail, it's a cell, call it what it is, mate. Do you know what I mean? But that's what they tried to soften the system by doing things like that. But for me...
So how long did you have left then?
I had 2 years, just under 2 years left at this point.
When I
was going for my first parole.
Right.
I was actually in my parole window when I absconded. Stupid, double stupid. Do you know what I mean? I was old enough by that time to know a bit better. But I just couldn't deal. It was the freedom, so much freedom in prison. That's what I didn't need. In prison, I don't want that freedom. I want to do my bang up, get to tomorrow, do my bang up, get to tomorrow. And that's the quickest way. I always find that's the quickest way for me to do my sentence. And I decided one day, I'm walking around Lay Hill about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, winter time, so it's quite dark.
Right.
Looking up past the gym. Past the gym, there's a field. Past that field is freedom. So I'm walking around. I just walked that way. And I just kept walking. There was no plan in it. There wasn't no, right, let's do this. Let's get this. I just was walking around and go, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Stupid idea. And for people who don't know, people walk out of Category D prisons every single day in this country. Every single day of the year, someone walks out of a Category D prison. But, you're not going to get told.
But they go down as an escape.
As an escape, But it's not really an escape, because how can you escape from someone that's
you've just walked out
of, You know what I mean? So it was that sort of situation. I ended up then going back to Dartmoor, handed myself in.
Right,
I didn't go on the run. I just didn't want to be in that prison. Yeah. So I handed myself in, ended up going back to Bristol prison. They then shipped me to Guy's Marsh, back to Guy's Marsh. I'd not been for a long time. And by that time, I'm just seeing everyone's madness, man. I'm calming down a bit, I'm calming down, but I'm seeing the madness. Then you got to think, I'm thinking I'm sorted. I'm thinking this is my last sentence. This is double figures. I'd be stupid to go back to jail. Who's going to do that? Who's going back to jail? Not me. So I'm seeing the madness. I'm trying to stay away from everyone. I'm doing that. I get out November 2010. Met this girl, traveller girl. Had a one night little flip with her. Met this other girl. Had a little flip with her. I've been in jail for almost 9 years. So I had a couple of flips with these two girls in the same area. About a month later, within a couple of days, I get a phone call from each of these girls. I'm pregnant. Right now, for a guy who's just come out of such an intense environment, it was like a bomb went off in my head. It was like, this is too much pressure. I went back to using drugs again, because that was just the easy. It was always the easy option for me. Go back to using drugs again. And then I'm floating around, and I was out for a year. So it's a long time, but not long, considering I've just spent 9. And I'm walking through Trowbridge town centre in Wiltshire. I get around everywhere, I don't, I was only now that I've settled. And I see this guy trying to sell these phones in like a cash generator, a pawn shop sort of thing. And the guy's saying, no, I've got, mate, there were 2 brand new phones in the boxes. I go, mate, I can sell them for you. Obviously, I'm going to go rob him now. I've taken him to a secluded spot, took the phones off him. He tried to come at me. I flicked a knife. I've done like that, just for him to fuck off. cut him across his stomach there. Not a proper cut. It went through 3 layers of clothing, just a scratch straight across his stomach.
Yeah.
But that was enough for me to get the EPP. I should have got life. And you know, and I know.
Yeah. So was that a Section 18, that one?
No, it wasn't. What they actually, it was really weird. And I say this to this day, they done me for robbery and possession of a bladed article, but they never did me for
the actual wound.
For the actual wound, even though it was only a scratch, because it went through three layers of clothing. You know, and I know, if he didn't have them clothes on, do you know what I mean? That would have ended up a lot different. And I got my EPP, and that's when my whole life just crashed.
And what EPP? What years?
So I got a 5-year 3-month sentence with a 4-year extension. So you've got to serve the 5 years, 3 months, and then you get out with a 6.5-year license. Right? So you do, like, I did 3 and a bit years, 6 years, 6 months license. I got out to, I just went back to the drugs, really. I was trying it, just trying to sort my life out. I got into drugs, met my missus. You know, she took me away from everything, tried to sort my life out. She was trying to do it on her own. You know, she's not, I'm going to change him. I can do it all on my own, which obviously she couldn't, because I was just a liability. I got my first recall, 2 years, got out, couple of months I was using again, got recalled again for another 2 years, and that's why I didn't know I was getting recalled for 2 years, but I ended up doing 2 years.
Are we having to get paroled?
Yeah, having to go for proper parole as well. Sit down. I've got them for 2 sit-down parole boards. So nailed them both. Nailed them both.
So what was it? I mean, obviously with me being IPP, I've experienced the recall as well. And the recall was actually worse than serving the sentence. So for you being like APP as well and then getting recalled, what was that like for you? Knowing that you didn't have a release date?
The first time when I knew I had 4.5 years left, right? 4.5 years left. And I'm going, this is just like, I just can't actually believe what's going on. I had no release date. I had no one telling me anything. My recall packs weren't appearing. Do you know what I mean? No one's telling you anything. They're just like, don't worry about it. Just get on with your time. It's all time. You're all doing. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's all right for you to say.
It's an absolute.
But I'm sat here with no idea when I'm getting out. And it took a really decent probation officer to get me out on the second recall, because you know, once you get recall once, really that's your lot.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? But I eventually got recalled 3 times. But
3 times on that.
Yeah, on that last bit of license. So I got recalled the first time for 2 years, got out. When I got recalled the second time, I didn't hear from the missus for a couple of weeks, and it's not like her. Do you know what I mean? She wasn't answering the phone, nothing. And then I got an email through the prisoner email, the prisoner service, saying, hey, that's it. I've had enough. I ain't doing it no more. I ain't letting you put me through it, putting the kids through it no more. You either change your ways or you lose us forever. And it was in that, literally reading that email, just everything that was needed to click into place that wasn't quite there, it was just on the edge. That was it. That was the bit that went, Paul.
So was that the turning point?
That was my turning point. Like I said, I went back to jail after that, but I'm telling you, as you know, it was not my fault. I didn't get recalled for anything apart from putting a social media post up, having my opinion on the system, and I ended up serving 3 months. 3 months in jail for that. 3 long, sober months.
Ever,
Longest, long. And people go, what you on about? You did 9 years. You just told us you've done 9 years. 3 months, knowing you've only got that to do, knowing that's the end of my license, knowing I'd not committed any offences, knowing I don't need to go on any treatment programs, I don't need to go on a drug-free wing. I've just turned up in a jail like I've turned up here today. And it was really hard for me. Then you see, then you really see prison. Then your eyes are like, oh my God, look at these idiots. And I do apologise, peeps, but there's a lot of idiots in jail, man. There's a lot of guys.
90%, isn't there?
Fucking lot of idiots, man. They just want to be running around being stupid. And I'm like, mate, this is not a playground. This is a prison.
Yeah.
Just do your time. Do your time.
It's hard work, and it's like obviously you said when you went back in on a sober as well, straight head.
Straight head, man.
It's like when I went back in on my recall, there was lads in off 10 years previously, still in, running around doing the same things, and you've got to put up with all that.
Yeah.
Keep yourself.
And then that's what it's about, self then, isn't it? It is literally keeping yourself sane, keeping yourself safe, and keeping the parole board in your parole board's good books. Because, like I said, I've sat 2 paroles.
So what was it like on your parole board?
They're difficult. They're really difficult. You have to.
It's the lead up to it as well, isn't it?
It's absolutely. I get bad anxiety anyway, and you know what prisoners are like.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna get it, mate. You ain't gonna get it. You didn't get it last time, or and I had that going around in my head. That and the first one, they were quite good actually, because they'd actually looked into my paperwork and they're like, I'm classed as a violent offender. However, when you separate it, there's not much physical violence that had gone on in my offences. In jail, it was different.
Yeah.
In jail, it was different. And the very first robbery, it was different. But apart from that first robbery and what I did in jail, my other robberies were all to scare people to give me their money. And it's a terrible thing. You know, I don't sit here like glamorizing violence or anything like that, because that's not what I'm about. I'm just here to tell a story.
Yeah, of course.
In it, do you know what I mean? And when they looked through my paperwork and they saw this guy actually keeps his head down, I've had no nickings, it was pretty simple, really. I had an answer. It was weird because I went up for the parole board on the first day, and on the Saturday I got an answer. Like on a Saturday, so they must have had some ideas straight away. And then on the my second recall, and this is the important one, this is during COVID. Do you know what I mean? It was just under 2 years recall I did for that. Again, bad behaviour, nothing severe. Missed an appointment, I think, or 2.
No further criminal
offences, nothing like that. And it were COVID struck. I've got no spleen. So they were all panicking. I was in HMP Coldenley in Surrey, Sussex, I think. And they were like, right, you've got no spleen. The government has deemed you to be extremely vulnerable, so you need to bang up. I'm like, so when do I come out? They're like, no, you need to bang up. And that was that. They would bring my food to the door. They would, let me out for a shower at the end of play once everyone's banged up, and they'd let me out for one phone call right at the beginning of the day. It was horrible to live like that. But because my brain was the way it was, and I was all the time just thinking, just get to the end of this, man. You know you can do it.
So what were you like in prison through COVID? Because I was in prison myself. I spent, like you've mentioned there, I think it was nearly a year, 23 hours a day, bang up.
Yeah, bang up.
Behind that door. And I think it was around about the March time, I think we got locked down, and it was in the April, one of the screws had brought it onto the wing. The whole wing ended up getting COVID.
Oh, man.
The lad that I was working on the surgery with, he got it the day before me, and everything that was happening to him was happening to me the next day.
So
and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, so you knew what was coming.
He ended up getting put into hospital in a coma.
Wow.
I seen him get took off in the night. I was like, stretch it off. But he'd had underlying diabetes. I knew about, we found out later, but he was in a coma for 3 months. But anyways, I'm sitting in my pad thinking, shit, it's going to happen to me the next day. Everything that was happening to him was happening to me. I was like,
I never got COVID.
Did you not?
No, I never got it. Lots of guys around me got it, but like I said, because I was extremely vulnerable, they'd give me hand sanitizer to go use the phones. But it was the mental torture of 24 hours banged up. People think you got a TV in your cell, you're all right.
Yeah.
Imagine, like, it's this room, innit? It's this room that we're in now.
No contact, I know.
It's just brutal.
Nothing.
I'd have the odd guy. Luckily, my cell window was on the exercise yard. So everyone would come and like chat to me and just keep me, you know, perk me up. They're like, man, you're staunch, man. I'd have lost it by now. He said, I never hear you shouting at them or nothing. I'm like, there's no point. What is the point of this? They've made their mind up how they're going to run this gel through COVID. And they ran the whole system like it through COVID. And, you know, some gels...
And they carried on for a year afterwards as well.
Some gels took it to the extreme. Yes, they did.
Like, even now, some of the regimes haven't went back to normal.
No, they haven't.
Like, everyone thought out here, when the lockdowns went back to normal, there was lads, a year after I got out, was getting out, and they were telling us that they were still on lockdown in the prison. So,
people don't understand the psychological trauma of doing that much bang up. Listen, we commit offences, we go to jail.
Yeah, of course.
Right? There's no two ways about it. But it's how you treat people in that environment. Banging someone up for that amount of time, COVID or not, it's no good. There's lots of guys who are going to come out of jail in the next few years messed up.
Oh, definitely.
Like, seriously messed up. They're losing social skills. You know, they're losing how to have a normal conversation with someone. You know, because all the time they're just banged up.
Set in that way. They're not wanting to come out, are they?
Not wanting. And that's what I turned into towards the end, because they were like, oh, you could come out. It took me about 2 weeks after they said I could come out of my cell to actually come out of my cell. Because I was like, no, you've told me. You fucking told me. Like, do you know what I mean? Man across from me died. He was an old dude. Do you know what I mean? Old dude got COVID. He died. Yeah, do you know what I mean? He was very old. Do you know what I mean? But
with players we had, though, didn't you think, fucking hell, I want to die.
I don't want to die in jail. Of all the places I'm going to die, I don't want to die in jail. And that's what a lot of people say that. Just like, you know, you just don't want to be in that environment.
So, like you mentioned that when you had that turning moment where you thought, did you see things in a different light?
Completely.
Did you have visions in your head of what you want for yourself in the future?
Yeah, and I tell you what, none of it is what it is. I thought I would get out, get a 9 till 5 job. You go, well, I've worked in between my prisons sentences. I've always tried to get a job. You know, I've always tried to be Joe Public, even though it never lasted. 1 or 2 paychecks, and then I'm done. So I thought I'd get out, I'd get a job. And then I started doing what you've been doing, like the social media thing. I'm big into recovery. You know, that's part of my ethos, my the way I live my life. I don't do 12 steps. I don't do NA. I don't believe in God or a higher power. I don't do any of that. I just make sure I don't use. I make sure I don't have people around me that are using. And I make sure that I remind myself every single day. I did it this morning. What that cell's like.
Yeah. You've got to, haven't you?
Remind yourself. Straight then I got an orange flash of blanket and the green sheet. Right? It's just there.
The itchy scratchies.
Yeah, the itchy scratchies. Do you know what I mean? It's just there now. It's in my head and it's a negative thing. And I'm going, I'm not letting people down. I'm lucky now. I got like TikTok 15,000 followers we're coming up to. And because I've got that amount of followers, it's made me more determined not to use. It's made me more focused and go, do you know what? You can achieve amazing things in your life. Booked my first family holiday this year. Yeah. I was in jail 2 years ago. 38 days, I'm flying off to Turkey. That, do you know what I mean? That's prisoners, we dream of that stuff. Do you know, when you're in your cell and you see that plane in the sky, oh God, I wish I was there. I wish I was doing that. And now I'm having the opportunity to do these things.
And these are the things, like you say, you always dream about, but if you put your mind to it and you want something bad enough, you will get it, won't you?
Man, if I tell,
proof of that
let me tell you this, peeps. If, right, you put the same amount of effort into your criminality, right, the effort that you put into your criminality, into your drug use, into whatever naughty behavior, into something positive, you will not fail.
Exactly.
There's no way you can fail, because when I was using drugs, there was no stopping me. I was getting the money, I was getting the drugs, I was getting the fix. Now
you were determined to get them.
Yeah, determination. Now I'm like, I want the interview. I want the newspaper
Yeah.
article. I want to go on the radio. I want to do all these things. And now I'm like, that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Well, what's it like when you get people coming up to you saying how much you've helped them?
It is the best thing. Look, camera. It is the best thing, and I promise you this, one of the best things I ever thought I'd get out of life. Waking up every single day and have people saying you're an inspiration. You are changing people's lives. Congratulations. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing you. That is a feeling no drug, no drug can give you. Not even
that's
you
your
lot
reward for what
rocking out your gym like, do you know what I mean? You can't get it because you get it now yourself, of course, don't you?
Like you see, you get people all the time saying like you don't realise how much you're helping us. And that for me is my reward for doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's like you say, when you're doing all these things, when you first set them all up, like myself, you're doing it all for free.
Yeah.
You're doing it to help other people.
Yeah.
But then obviously when you progress further on, then obviously you will start getting paid for it.
You're hoping to get the financial
of course
reward.
You need it. You need that as well to live.
Anyone who says, like, we're out there who are doing these circuits and stuff and they're doing these podcasts and say they're not in it for the money, they are lying. Because you do need financial help. But the other stuff I get is just so much more. You know, being able to go to my kids in 10 years' time, you can go do this, and I can buy you that without having to worry about it so much. That's the dream. That is the dream, isn't it? But for now, I'm happy live streaming on TikTok, 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the evening.
But it keeps you busy as well, doesn't it?
Keeps me
Your mind
busy.
is focused.
And it is focused on it. And I spend a lot of the day on my phone. This is the longest I've not touched my phone all month. Do you know what I mean?
Because, are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I am Paul Addict Mentor.
What I'll do, I'll put all your links in the description as well, so everyone can go along and have a check out his content and hopefully go and give him a like and a follower. But like sometimes when I wake up in the morning going, I'm starting having a piss, the first thing I'm thinking of is YouTube.
And you're like, what has my life come to?
I'm standing there thinking, right, what video can I do? But it's a good thing though. When you're waking up in a positive mindset, you're not thinking about negative things. You're not thinking about things that's dragging you back. You're thinking about helping other people, focusing on things that's going to improve not only your life, other people's lives.
Other people's lives,
Because when you've spent that long affecting people in a negative way by our actions, it feels good to be liked by people and not hated, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought when I come out, because there's always a risk, right? You got victims of crime and you got all of this other stuff, the negative people that have seen the negative stuff. So I thought I was going to get pure negative backlash. I don't even get 0.2% of negative backlash. I might get one person every so often. The trolls.
You'll always get that,
right? But apart from it is 98% just lovely, absolutely beautiful niceness. And people want to see people like you, people like me, who have done Bird. You're IPP. You're in probation's eyes. You shouldn't be able to do this. You know, you should be shitting in a corner, shaking. But it just goes to show we do recover and we can change and we can go on to do extraordinary things. Like catching a flight to Newcastle, for instance.
And that was your first flight?
My first ever flight, man. Just to come see you.
But I'd say, like I say, I've seen some of your stuff. I haven't seen a lot of it, but I've watched quite a bit of your recent stuff. And you come across as a decent fella, genuine. And that's what's going to take you for. Like you've just mentioned, I don't get any negative stuff on my channels either, because obviously keeping it real, we're not sitting here bigging up about prison. Oh, we've been to prison with big hard men. That doesn't mean jack shit, that.
It's just the experience.
It's all about keeping it real and not any bravado, we're on here telling people what prison is really like.
What it's actually
like. We're trying to deter the younger generation from going there.
Because I don't want to see my kids go to prison. I don't want to see my kids' friends going to prison. You know, I've seen the same generation, my generation. So many of us got into this illusion that going to prison was just a part of living. and it isn't.
And like a badge of honour.
Yeah, like a badge of
Right.
honour. Like, do you know what I mean? And it really isn't. So,
Because the youngsters, sorry, go on.
no, if I could give any advice to the young kids, and I do talks and stuff, as you know, I go out and I do talks in clubs for schools and all things like that. And if I give any advice, please listen to people like you, people like me, who've actually been there and can tell you don't need to go and experience it for yourself. It's not like a holiday. It's not like a little holiday centre, what people keep telling you, because they've got Xboxes and PlayStations. That is all just media hype. Prison is a horrible, dark, dangerous place to be.
It is absolutely depressing. You've got to be on your guard all the time.
All the time.
You say the wrong thing, or you think someone's saying something funny, you snigger at them. What are you laughing at? And
that's it. From that, you could just be having a laugh with your mate, and then you're like, nothing, mate, and that's it. That's it. It's on.
That's it. It's on.
It's on. Yeah.
But I normally finish with that one question, but you've already answered it, so thank you very much.
Come on.
But yes, like I say, people, if you go and have a look at the description, follow his channels. He's doing good things. Maybe you want to come and do a talk somewhere.
Yeah, if anyone wants me to come do talks, I do those for free. I don't charge. I've got people who donate for the travel and stuff like today. So if anyone wants me to come around to a club, sports club, gym, boxing club, whatever it is for the kids, I'm there for them, because I think it's important to spread that message.
Well, Paul, I think we'll definitely hook up again at some point, just to check on your progress and see how everything's going. Or maybe even do something together.
Yeah, I definitely I definitely think that.
Thanks very much for coming up, mate.
Dude.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Loved it.